Welcome back to the Pro Series podcast. This is episode 121 and the third part of the World of Design collaboration. If you don't know what I'm talking about, World of Design was a Zoom call that we had a couple months ago. It was me, Rebecca Hayes from Vancouver, Canada, and Adrian Ramsay from Australia. We're all in the interior design business and we been on each other's podcast. They were both on my Pro Series back in 2022. And I was on both on Adrian's podcast called Talk Design and Rebecca's podcast called Resilient by Design. And we thought, hey, let's just jump on a call together and just talk about everything in the world of design and see how similar we are. We're all from 3 different countries, but in the same industry, and see the differences and see the similarities. So we sat down for an hour and a half or a little bit over an hour and a half, and we split into 3 parts. So this is the third part, the final part of the whole long conversation. So if you're entering this episode and you have not seen part 1 and part 2, head over first to Adrian Ramsay's podcast called Talk Design to see part 1. Part 2 will be with Rebecca Hayes' podcast called Resilient by Design. And then you can come back here to the Pro Series and end it off on part 3 of our World of Design podcast collaboration. Hope this is first of probably many with us. We have become friends with this in this podcasting world, and from social media we have given each other different guests for each other's podcasts. We've just gotten closer over the last couple of years, and this was kind of a fun thing to do, a kind of little cool side project to do. So head over to their podcast, give them a like, subscribe, review their podcast. That's what really keeps it going and keeps us going, gets the podcast a little bit more successful. But I hope you enjoyed part 3 of World Design with me, Rebecca Hayes from Vancouver, Canada, Adrian Ramsay from Queensland, Australia. And let us know what you think and what maybe you want to hear next. But now I hope you enjoy episode 121, part 3 of the World of Design collaboration.
Exactly.
Wow.
This is the thing though, isn't it? It's like it's have a plan around it and make a presence with it. And offer value, like give away a valuable thing. Like we were talking before about biophilic design, and it's like, so what is a value point that you can take and you can express if you're an interior designer? Is it about lighting? Is it about just as simple as how to make a bed so that it looks great, so that it looks like, it's semi-unmade but made? Or is it really pushed and tidy? What are those things that you can offer value to other people? And you go, oh, but I'm giving away my secrets. God's sake, give them away. Give those secrets away. It's not the end of the world. If you don't give, you don't get. And, Rebecca, you were saying, about competition. You don't worry about the competition. Just worry about being one step better than them.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was at a conference. I was at a conference. Yeah. Well, if you're not growing and taking your clients to new spaces and constantly evolving, then why would your clients want to be with you all that time?
Yeah.
And why would that happen? Why wouldn't you be? We living in a trend-driven environment with high visibility, and because of that, we need to know what the trend. It doesn't mean we have to do it, but we need to know what the trend is. Before something came to me, you were talking about how people moved out of the cities in COVID, and moved to the country. That created a boom where I am, where it was like, so many people. So currently I'm sitting in the Gold Coast, but I live in the Sunshine Coast of Queensland. And we were the fastest growing region in Queensland. In Australia, people trying to move there. So we've got a housing shortage. We've got all those kinds of things going on. But if you go back to the Spanish flu, and if you go back to the plague or any of those things that have happened, like, in England, the plague and stuff, the rich, the people with means and with money always moved to the country. Always. They might maintain a city house, but they left their servants in it. They went to the country where they were safe, and they gathered their families around them in the country where they had food source, they had, clear air. They didn't stay where the masses were. And so in our socially mobile, moneyed society in our first world, we had that exact same thing. People moved to acreage sites more. They moved out to smaller villages. They moved to the country, not just to be in touch with nature, but that thing of running away from a big pod of disease, or, you know, in this case, virus, a big pod of something that they didn't want to get swept up in. So they had the means to get out, and they made those decisions.
We're seeing a lot of design firms that are just booming now, and they're in towns, or they're in like far suburbs outside the city. And I'm thinking, oh my God, nobody has a house that big in Toronto because we just don't have the property for it. And so these designers are getting these opportunities. And so if you're listening and you're more remote and you're more rural and you're like, oh, I don't think I can make it, like, think again. I think there is a lot of opportunity for those who are not in urban centers. And I've definitely seen that come out of the pandemic, 100%.
I would suggest to them that they align themselves with a designer that is in a city, and the designer in the city will have far more sourcing opportunities. And if they can find themselves a great alliance with somebody that can, you know, like you guys are both in great cities. I'm not in a great city. I'm in 250,000 people. I have Brisbane city, 3.5 million, I think it is, you know, an hour and a half from me. If I need to go and source stuff, I need to either go to Brisbane. I can do a lot online, but I don't believe you can sell somebody a sofa that you haven't sat in, you know?
Yeah, it's fabric you can't touch.
Yeah, and you know, you might have $20,000 sofa or a, you know, $25,000 rug on the floor. I'm not going to just hope that it's going to be okay. I need to be there. I need to see it. I need to touch it. I need to feel it. I need to take my client there as well, if that's the case. You know, and make sure that they're comfortable with that as well. So for me, it's that bit of a journey. I have friends who are interior designers and architects in Brisbane City, and I have a constant conversation with them. What are you seeing? What's happening in those spaces? You know, anything new in that place? Because I don't want to be there every week. That sounds really privileged, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound horribly privileged? I don't want to leave my
established.
I don't want to leave my house on the hill.
Yeah.
I think the thing with that though is that I live there for that reason, because it's, you know, 15 minutes drive to wherever I want to be. It's like it's relaxed. It's got all that. And to go to the city, I go with a purpose generally, to solve a problem for clients, or to solve a problem for multiple clients, and to educate myself. So I think that, you know, like, yeah, if you can find a great alliance, if you're out in the country, find great alliances, because you're not going to get reps dropping in on you. You're not going to get all those things that you will have in the city. Find somebody who you can align with. You're never in competition to them. You can pay them to do some sourcing work for you, to find the right things, to give you opportunities, because they are in touch and they're seeing it all the time.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
There's your benefit.
Yeah. I love how we're talking about this. Like, we're all designers in the same profession, 3 different countries. I'm so glad we are able to go on this podcast, and probably the first of many. But I think we should end with like a cool topic of like, maybe like to relate to another designer on designing maybe for yourself. And do you struggle with that? Like, I struggle with it, color wise, everything. I second guess everything. We're seeing everything day to day on what's new to the field and new technology that's in our fields. And I'm like, oh, I should have added that. Or as soon as it's installed, I'm like, oh, I should have put that tile in. Are you guys the same way?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
I just finished a massive renovation at my house, and it's so beautiful. And I'm like, I think we should move.
Yeah.
I'm ready for a new project. My husband's like, what are you talking about? We just finished. It's so beautiful. Everyone raves about it. I'm like, I know, but like now the mood is like, now it's like dark and moody, and I kind of want to do this. And I feel like maybe we should need a bit of a bigger house. Secretly, I just want a new project because Eric, it's impossible. It's impossible to make decisions.
Well, yeah. I always have like, if I have a friend come over, they're like, what's your next project? And I'm like, oh, I think I'm almost done. They're like, oh, so you're going to finally be like moved in and stuff. I'm like, no, I'll probably just buy a new house to get another project. And they're like, it's a never ending cycle with you. I'm like, well, I need content. No.
It's an occupational hazard.
I so love that. I need content. Yeah.
I'm buying a house because I need content.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make it a write-off? Do you think that's a business expense?
I think there might be some fringe benefit tax that gets
I need to
caught
talk
up
to
in
my
there.
accountant.
So.
I need to talk
You
to
know, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Like, we just recently renovated our house, and we go through little phases. So years ago, we renovated the bathrooms and we didn't have an ensuite. When we bought this particular house, it didn't have an ensuite. And I went, oh, I can make an ensuite within the bounds of the building. I mean, I can get an ensuite in there. I can do that. My wife's like, really? I'm like, hell yeah, babe, I've got this. You know, this is what I do. I'm your hero. Here I am. Anyway, so we created this ensuite, and then we renovated our main bathroom at the same, not quite the same time, you know, sort of in one and then the other, so that we had somewhere to still shower. And my wife for years had been saying to me, because of course I draw plans and I'd just leave them sitting around, and I'd take her through process of making her not come up with stuff, but like take her through the process of what it takes to plan things and stuff. My wife's a very savvy businesswoman and coach, and she's a business coach. I don't know that always bodes well for me as well. In saying that, she was like, are we ever going to do this, or is it just a picture that you've drawn? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, we should do it. You know, we should do it. Well, how much is it going to cost? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You tell people what things are going to cost all day long. I don't know. Like, you know, I want this and maybe this. And she's like, well, do I want those things? I'm like, well, this is why we shouldn't do it, because we want different things. And interestingly, one of the things that I had to do for a mental shift was say, do you know what? Ultimately, you know, no disrespect to women here in any way, but a house is a woman's home. And if you've got cats, it's theirs as well. And if you've got cats, they're wondering what you're doing in their home if you're not feeding or, you know, doing something for them. But men often, and this is my experience of it, are often more hunter and gatherer kind of nature. They're actually, whilst their home is actually a castle, and it has security and it has sanctuary and all the rest, woman, it's actually a deep emotional attachment to security, and especially with children. I see this shift, and so I go, and you'll hear a lot of men say this when you're doing a job for them, whether it be, you know, in the full new home design or whether it's interior design, whatever makes her happy. And it's not like she's a difficult woman or anything. It's just they want to make sure that she's settled and that she's comfortable and that they're doing their thing as a man in the traditional, I'm going to provide whatever it is she needs, because they'll adapt to the environment, where women will actually nest in an environment and it becomes a whole nother emotional kind of state to it. Mm-hmm. And so I think with that, what I did was I went, Adrian, stop being such an arsehole and it's all about you. What about your wife? You know, like, so my wife's also Rebecca. So I'm like, so what does she want from this? What is she looking for? You know, what's her motivations? Because it's a perfectly good house. We're just doing something to it. And what were those motivations? So I really took a step back and said, okay, Adrian, if she was your client, well, I think she actually brought this up with me. She said, for God's sake, if I was your client, you wouldn't treat me like this. And I'm like, oh, probably not. How much were you paying?
Exactly.
But that whole thing of, okay, if she was my client, then what were those emotional drivers that she was looking for? What are those things? How can I deliver a choice as opposed to I'm just going to do this, you know, black wall in the bedroom. No choice. There's no choice on the black wall. I'm saying it's black, you know, and she's like, really? Those kinds of things. How can I take her on a journey rather than just expecting her to trust me, let me do it? Like I take a client on a journey. to let them come into that space. We've got to, they don't know what they don't know. We've got to draw them into the space. And so I really approached it a lot like that, and found things that she went, oh, I really love that. Then I'd turn the volume up, then I would play with how I presented it. And that would stretch her and she'd get nervous. And then I'd be able to bring it back to where she was a little out of her comfort zone, but okay, she'd grow into. And that's how I got there. But I treated it as it was her home. And that was a bonus, like, for me.
So basically what you're saying is that in order to design for yourself, it's better just to have your wife do it.
No.
No.
No, I just think if you're designing for yourself, you need an avatar as well.
Yeah,
so if you're not married or whatever, you need some perspective. It's like, we can't see our own faults anywhere near as quickly as our wife can, or somebody else can. They can say, oh, well, you don't do this particularly well, or I always think my wife's this incredible communicator, because that's what she does for a living. She communicates with people all the time. And yet I walk around the house going, damn, she's a crap communicator. She isn't. It's just that maybe I'm a crap listener when it's that. So it's just this thing. But how do we find for ourselves, how do you get past that whole, oh shit, I should have done this. Oh no, you're kidding me. There's that new lighting system that would have been so good there.
Right.
Oh, I didn't spend $1,000 on the lamp. I bought that $300 one. Damn, it looks like a $300 one now because I did this and this, making those right decisions, because we're in a candy store. And often we're dealing with clients whose budgets are way bigger than what we would ever spend. And, or that we have the ability to spend, like, I don't walk across $30,000 rugs, but I've got homes that are full of 30,000, and 30,000 is not the most expensive, like those kind of things. Yeah. And I don't even need a $30,000 rug. I'm sure if I had the spare 30, I would probably have one, because they are so beautiful. And when like, my house is a modest home. It's not like a huge fancy home. I don't want that for myself. I design it for other people. But for me, mine's a really simple home. It's beautiful views. It's lovely, beautifully appointed, but it's not a big house. I don't want a big house. Just those things.
You get to do it for other people. So if you're someone listening, you're like, yeah, how do you make a decision for yourself? It's so hard. I think the mindset shift is just recognizing there's no one right way to do it. And that's what I think I came to realize is, I could do that light. What should I do that light? But what if I want to do a wood island? Oh, wouldn't it be nice? Like, right? Like that. And ultimately you need to find the design that works. It's not the only design. There is a limitless supply of your brilliant mind that can put together designs for one space. And that. And when you present something to a client, you have to narrow it down for them. So it's just recognizing, okay, I'm going to make a decision. This can look amazing. And in the future, those other ideas I can use with my clients, because I get to do that, because that's what I do for a living, right? It's like reminding yourself that.
Do you know, my advice would be for people that are, going, I want to do this for myself, which go for it, is first of all, look at your architecture and see what story your architecture is telling. Is it a period home of some kind, or what period of home is it? Or apartment or whatever. What is the architecture telling you about it? Does it have crown moldings? What does it have? What's already part of that? And then also from that narrowing your theme down to, say, for instance, it might be Victorian, or it might be a mid-century or whatever, narrowing your theme down to something that's a bit cohesive. It doesn't mean you can't play on the edges. I had a client once who showed me a picture of an artist's loft and said, can I have that? And I'm like, yeah, you can, but you won't be able to shift anything. Because, it's got that kind of disheveled, eclectic mix of crazy stuff in an artist's loft. It's never just all curated.
Yeah.
And in this particular picture, there was, a pair of Jimmy Choos sitting on a coffee table under a Tom Ford book, on top of a Tom Ford book or whatever it was. There was all this stuff. And then there was, like garments hanging in the living room, but they were like art pieces, this kind of thing. And I'm like, this particular client had nowhere near this level of style, but was totally in love with that, kind of thing. And I'm like, if the shoes go back to the closet, that whole little piece doesn't work anymore. That carefreeness, that wildness, that I just took them off and put them up there. They're not, you look at how they're placed. They're perfectly placed in a sort of a disheveled environment. That there's nothing in there. It's the bed that looks unmade or semi-made, that we all do in styling. That bed that looks semi-made, and it looks like it's maybe not been slept in, but it's ready to be slept in, and it's got a feeling of comfort. That takes a little program and a little effort to create.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to do it for yourself, choose a genre as close as you can. Make sure that things fit within that genre. Don't go too wild outside of it, and respond to the shape and the architecture of your rooms.
I want to know, Adrian, because this is the second time you've mentioned this like half-made, perfectly made bed in our conversation. What I want to know is, are you a master at this styling technique, and can you teach us?
I am not. I'll give you, but I'll tell you a little story with it. So on Dream Homes Revealed, so I'm going on this photo shoot. We're recording it, and I go and I meet with this wonderful designer that had done this home, and beautiful home, like really stunning, actually an all white home with, beautiful soft French oak boards and some lovely stone work. And I go into the main bedroom, and I said to her, "So, Ewan, what do you want to talk about in here when we're recording? What do we want to make out of this and all the rest?" And I said, "That bed looks fantastic. Why don't you, tell people how to do that?" And she went, "No. And I said, "What?" And she goes, No, I'm not telling anybody how to do that." She said, "I've perfected that over years, how to create that look." And I'm like, really? And I'm going, it is really good. It's really good. So I'm standing there and I'm like, huh. So then I just, my mind's always going like this. I'm like, break it down. What are all those pieces? What matters? What's she done there? How's she folded that? How's she arranged those pillows?
How many wrinkles were there?
Exactly. 100%. That's what I did. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, cool. And then I went home and tried to do it. And I'm going, what's mine look like crap?
It's like that perfectly placed blanket on the sofa. You go to like just throw the throw blanket, and it takes like 20 throws, and actually you're not throwing it. You're sitting there meticulously trying to get it the right
just
way.
Folding it a little bit for the photograph. Yep. Yeah. So no, I don't. I do have a method, but I stole it from Louise, and I've not tried it on any client or anything. I've tried it at home a few times on my daughter's beds, just for the fun of it. But yeah, just really interesting. She'd really perfected it, and she's a photographer as well, so she'd looked at it from lots of different angles. And so, this is the joy of traveling, or like in this case, I'm being a host, but the joy of going and doing those things is seeing other people's creativity and then learning from it, not necessarily stealing it, but learning from it.
Yeah. Adrian, will your wife be listening to this podcast? Because I did hear
I
you
hope
say
not.
you don't listen.
I won't tell her about it. Yeah. But she would say, yeah, see, even you don't listen. I've got what do they call that? Marital deafness.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that what they call it?
Yeah, my husband has that too.
Yeah.
I told you it was parent teacher interviews. Oh, well, no, you did not. I'm like, it's in the calendar invite. I mentioned it last night. I talked about it last week. Seriously?
Yeah, what was that you said?
Exactly. Case and point.
This was awesome. I think we should end with I guess because we're on the third podcast now, where people could follow us and what our name of our podcasts are if they're not on our podcast.
100%.
Adrian, you want to start?
Sure. My podcast is Talk Design. You'll find it on every podcast platform. You'll also find it on www. Do people still say that? Do they still do that? In New Zealand, they go dub, dub, dub. In New Zealand, that's how they say it. They go dub, dub,
so
dub.
Funny.
Oh.
Yeah. So www.talkdesign.show, and you'll find all our episodes there. And on Instagram, obviously, you'll either find it under Adrian Ramsay, and that's Ramsay, and otherwise you will find it at Talk Design With on Instagram. And if I ever get my act together well enough, I will be like Eric and I will post a live video as well, which we will do with this one. So I'll get my act together from that.
Yeah. Well, I'm
awesome.
Yeah, Rebecca, you go next.
No. Okay, sorry. I'm Rebecca, obviously, and you can follow my podcast. It's called Resilient by Design. It is wherever you find your podcast. And definitely go check out my website, RebeccaHay.com. I would love to hear from anyone who's listening today. What was your favorite part of this episode? Did anything crack you up and make you laugh? Because I know these guys, we always have a great conversation. So come on over and find me and say hello, and we'll be back with more of this, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And I'm Eric Dillman. You can follow me at Eric Dillman Designs. DM me too. I do look through them, even though some of them are very, I don't know if you guys look through your DMs. It's sometimes very scary. But I tried to message back. But
what are you talking about? I'm not scared by my DMs. Who are the people DMing you, Eric?
Oh my God.
Eric, I get it too, man.
Not the way that you're thinking.
Yeah.
People from other countries trying to sell you stuff, and then or taking pictures of screenshots of your YouTube page and sending it to you. Oh, that could be a different podcast. But it's Eric Dillman Designs, Pro Series podcast, and you could follow me on all social media. Awesome.
You guys, are you weekly, fortnightly?
I am.
Every week. Yeah.
Every week as well. Yeah. We're all weekly podcasts. And I don't know, lengthwise, Eric, how long's yours generally?
Anywhere from 30 to an hour. 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. Rebecca?
Yeah, same here. Sometimes if I get a guest and we can't stop talking, like Adrian, it goes a little bit past the hour, but they're in and around 50 minutes.
Yeah, mine's generally around the hour. Unless I'm doing a series for somebody, and then I might, like for the AIA Austin, just run 30-minute podcasts for that. So, when you're putting time aside to listen to a podcast, just think about, have you got an hour in the car? Have you got an hour on a train, an hour on a bus, or, what do you do? How long's your lunch hour? And we're going to break this into 3 podcasts, which will be really fabulous. And so you'll get one here, the next one here, and the next one there across our podcasts. So you'll be able to go to all 3, which should be a really interesting experiment. And we'd love to hear from any of you how frustrating you found that, or how wonderful you found that, and what you discovered from it. DM me as well, but I'm totally open to DMs. I get plenty of them. I'm happy for questions on DMs, but design advice, you're probably gonna need to get into the client space for that. So don't DM me for client advice.
I agree.
Cool.
Awesome.
Guys, really, really appreciate you putting this all together. This is fantastic. Lovely brainchild of yours, Eric.
Awesome.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for getting us together again. And thank you for making us all friends.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Eric, you are the catalyst. You started this.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
100%.
You did. You said we were on each other's podcast, and you said to me, Eric, I got to introduce you to Adrian. He's amazing. Okay. Yada, yada, yada. And then you connected with Adrian, and then Adrian and I had a podcast exchange. So you're the man that brings everyone together.
Okay.
Eric, totally, man. You were the catalyst. Like, it's one of those things, how when we met, and I don't even remember how we met particularly, social media somewhere, and I said, hey, this person would be really interesting for you. And we started sharing some guests. And then that's how I met Rebecca. And then Rebecca and I were like, oh, wow, this is a really cool conversation. And so we swapped out onto each other's podcasts. It's that thing, when dogs that are the same breed, they suddenly meet each other and all their tails wag like crazy because they recognize their own breed.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we did. And
We're all the same
I
breed.
love that we can share, our podcasts and share our talent that, people and our guests, and expand their knowledge by talking to a different person as well.
I agree. I mean, sometimes it feels like we're in such a small world, but it's so big, and we can relate to other people in different countries. That's something that people don't realize. It's just get out of your little bubble and step out and talk to other people. Get more perspective.
100%, man. Very grateful.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you guys jumping on.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Rebecca. Made my day. Hopefully we make some other people's.
Oh, absolutely will. I hope you enjoyed this whole World of Design collaboration. We, as Adrian and Rebecca, have talked over emails and on calls in the past couple months. We were so excited to get this out and just kind of get the industry moving forward and kind of getting out of your own bubble in the design world. And, I always say one of many reasons I started the podcast was to get out of my Pittsburgh design world and kind of talk to people outside of, not just in the United States, but out of the country, and kind of just stay up on it and just get connections throughout the world. And I think this is a collaboration that will continue over time. We'll have more parts to this and maybe an episode 2 to come. There's a lot of different ideas in the fire, but let us know what you think about the podcast. Message us. Let us know maybe stuff you disliked, or maybe stuff you did like, and maybe stuff you wish we talked about, because this will probably, we love taking in the information from you guys, and we'll all share it together. And yeah, but hopefully you liked it. If you have not gone over to Resilient by Design or Talk Design podcast, make sure you subscribe, like, and follow their podcast, because they do some great work and they have some great guests. We're all friends here and we love supporting each other. So I hope you enjoy this. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will talk next week.